Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who's going to be reviewing the re-recording of Red by Taylor Swift. As you can tell from the title, it's fairly provocative. Am I really saying that Taylor Swift is better than Radiohead and better than Nirvana? Let me get into that. See, this album, I don't know, I've never listened to the album until a couple days ago when she re-released it, but I of course know several of the songs, and I have a couple of very, very positive memories associated with those songs, with Trouble and Never Getting Back Together. The summer of 2013, I was in Little Compton, Rhode Island, where my family has a house, not too far from Newport, where Taylor Swift lives half the time, I don't know. Kind of a nice, little town, little house there, and I was there with my nieces and my nephews. But what I really remember was my niece's love of Taylor Swift. Just absolute adoration. I had my guitar there, and I printed out how to play those songs on guitar, and we sang them all together. We had like a drum set there and guitar, and we were singing, never ever getting back together. The problem is this. At that point, whatever it was, 2013, 8 years ago, I was much older than I am today. And I was still in the middle-aged dude mindset of like, I need to teach these girls what good music is. So I was like trying to get them to understand like why Radiohead was better and why Nirvana was better and why they should listen to this wonderfully developed, great, serious music and not this pop tripe. Now obviously, I was completely out of my depth. I didn't know what I was talking about. I was incapable of appreciating or taking Taylor Swift seriously, even though I recognized her as a cultural force. I recognized that her influence would lead ultimately to so much great music. But I didn't really understand her as a songwriter or a performer. So 8 years later, do I actually like Taylor Swift more than Nirvana and Radiohead? Well, no, I don't. But let me tell you why I titled it the way that I did. You see, this Taylor's version of Red is the third reissue to come out this November. Nirvana came out with the 30th anniversary of Nevermind, and more importantly, Radiohead came out with this 20th anniversary melding of Kid A and Amnesiac. The reason that Radiohead and Nirvana are not as good as Taylor Swift is in this context. What they did, their reissues. I kept on trying to find the right word. I imagined in my head that the word necromos existed. It doesn't. What I'm trying to say is things which are deathly, associated with death. A reissue, like a greatest hits album, is an indicator that an artist is telling you, we're done. Things were good, but now we're not so good anymore. So how about our old stuff, but again? How about we reissue, repackage, and just give you some extra songs? Hey, we have these songs sitting around, alternate versions, and this, and then studio banter. Or in Nirvana's case, just a live concert, throw it on there. It's sad. This channel is about celebrating art and proving that art is alive. This channel is about going back and talking to myself in 2013 in Little Compton, Rhode Island, and saying, Skye, you idiot, you dunderhead, what are you thinking? Maybe Radiohead and Nirvana are as good as Taylor Swift, but there certainly isn't this huge gap that you're imagining. This art is alive. And what makes Taylor Swift better than those two giants of rock and roll is that her recreation is a recreation. It is not a reissue. It is not a rehash. It is not a studio, it's not a label-driven cash grab. It is not just this sense of like, oh, I don't know. I mean, we have devoted fans and they'll do it. Taylor Swift's project, I don't think I know her by first name basis. Her project is so ambitious and so wonderful because if you don't know, and you probably do, because she doesn't own the master recordings of her albums, her beginning albums, she doesn't get the majority of money whenever those songs are played. She doesn't like the person who has the masters, so she is making her own masters. She is realizing this great dream. She is making this great fight on behalf of artists. Now, I talk all the time on this channel about how Kanye West and Taylor Swift are very similar. They are the only artists in each other's ballpark in terms of how they're able to change art and culture while also fighting for the rights of the artist. And this is another great example of why she's so great. This is seizing the means of production from the Vampires, you know? This is this great revolutionary act, and this is her second album doing it, and we just need to celebrate it and see it as alive. And if she were just doing this, that'd be one thing. That's right, Toby. You'll hear Toby in the background. If it were just this, that'd be one thing. But she's also been releasing albums at an amazing pace. New albums with new music. Folkmore and Evermore and Everlore and Evermore and More and Gorgor and Lover. You know, just in the last couple of years, she's released these albums and they're all good and they all show development. They're all better than Red. I'm enjoying Red and I'll talk about that soon. But she's growing. So at the same time that we have Nirvana, you know, Foo Fighters or whatever, and Chris Novoselic isn't doing anything, and Kurt Cobain obviously died to suicide, depression, and drug abuse. So, you know, they're dead. And Radiohead's not dead. Ed O'Brien came out with an album, and Tom York came out with an album, and Johnny Greenwood came out with an album this week. And they're going to make another album eventually, you know. But when as a Radiohead fan, when I get something like this, I'm like happy but sad. I'm like, okay, Boomer, you got your deluxe edition. Good. Why don't you have some cognac or a nice craft beer and listen to the music that you used to listen to and dance to when you were 22? I don't know about you, but that's sad. That's necromos. I'm going to get that word off the ground. That's deathly. So let's talk about Red, this amazing artistic experiment. This amazing artistic idea of re-recording. What artist could even do this? You know, the Rolling Stones got out of their record deal in the early 70s. And the company that makes all the money off the early albums is ABKCO. And Rolling Stones still hate them, and they're still angry. But every time you hear Jumpin' Jack Flash, ABKCO is the one who's getting money off it. Do you think the Rolling Stones could have re-recorded Jumpin' Jack Flash precisely in 1978? Hell no. This idea itself is so bizarre, and yet it totally works. And it gives me a chance in the new Skye, not old Skye. You know, old Skye was younger, and he saw his nieces dancing around and loving this music and singing lyrics and singing every word. That old Skye didn't get a chance to listen to this. But this new younger Skye, I have a chance. This is new music. I will only listen to Taylor's version. As far as I'm concerned, that other edition does not exist. It is just not there. I'm going to review the album. I'm just going to review the album, the original album, as it would have been when it came out. Okay? As the album, if I'd been paying attention to 2012 when it came out, the album I would have reviewed. I'm not going to go into the bonus tracks. I don't quite have the time. Well, I will talk about one bonus track, because I think it's a very important bonus track, but just one of the many. So what did I discover in this album? Me in this position of someone who is exposed to Taylor Swift, but didn't know much about her beyond my niece's love of her music. Somebody who has paid a lot of attention to her last 3 albums and just got into Fearless when it came out last year. What I've discovered, really, is that she's very good. I underestimated... For as long as she's been out, I've been saying she's like the most important artist around. You know, her and Kanye. But I was still underestimating her because I always saw that a lot of her songs were co-written. So I just assumed that she didn't write much of her own music. In this album, it's clear she's writing almost everything on the entire album. And every time I mention that she has a co-writer, the Swifties come on my comment section like, Skye, you're totally wrong. She writes every single note, plays every single note, does every single possible thing, and every single thing she does is the greatest thing ever. Exclamation point and post, right? That's okay, I get it. I love enthusiasm, you know? But this album shows more just music by her. And what I'm seeing here is the developing of her lyrical style. I think she is an amazing lyricist, like one of the best lyricists based on her last couple albums. Based on this album, not so much. There's good lyrics on this album. There's some cringy lyrics on this album as well. But we're starting to see the development of her. She has an efficiency, an emotional efficiency. She can deliver a line that's a fairly simple line that can sort of like cut through 5 layers of muscle and 2 layers of bone to get to the center of an issue, you know? And we see it developing here. She might still be developing it, or she might have perfected it on Evermore Folklore, Everlore, More 4. So there are not as many what I call dang moments, you know, where she has a lyric and I just go, dang. I just that's like the highest level of compliment I can give a lyric. If it makes me stop and just go like, okay, how deep is this? How deep is this lyric? And I'm going to share you with that on this album. Musically, I like that it's this weird mixture between sort of a light, folky country and super duper international pop. Max Martin is a force to be reckoned with. Not only Bye Bye Bye, but Hit Me Baby One More Time. Just an amazing producer. And his work on the hits on this album, I'm going to go into some detail. I am going to say a few things that are going to annoy Swifties. Please know that I say them. I have a acerbic sense of humor at times. So at no point do I think that I am an expert on Taylor Swift, an expert on music. I do not think my taste is better than anyone else's taste. These are just my opinions. So a couple of the songs on this album are not great. Borderline bad. Which songs? You'll have to keep watching to find out. I'm going to go through the album now, track by track, the first 16. And I'm going to go with State of Grace to begin the album. What a delightful song. This kind of chugging guitar, simple melody, a great opening line. All we know is touch and go. And we're starting to get the traces of the brilliance of her lyric writing. Musically, it is so much like U2, they almost owe U2 like royalties, you know? It's kind of got this chugging guitar kind of going with the little bit of reverb on it going between the fifths. At a certain point in the background, you hear a guitar adding on some sustained notes. It just sounds so much like a U2 song. Beautiful bridge leading into this line over and over again, Never Saw You Coming. Thematically, a lot of this album seems to be about a relationship that she did not expect. The thing that this song points out to me, and every time I review a Taylor Swift project, there's a new thing that reminds me of why she's so amazing. Please remember that, Swifties, when I say things you don't like. And this song shows me her voice. The tasteful acrobatics on this song. And there are acrobatics on the song where she does a lot of like, right? They're tasteful. And she can get into this register of strength, projecting strength. Just, wow. Really piercing singing. The next song is Red. It's one of the bad ones. This is not a good song. I'm sorry. It's okay. It's okay. Okay? It's better than most bad songs. But it is not as good as the rest of the songs on this album. If all of her music was like this, I don't know. I mean, the lyrics, the motif that is dominating it is loving you is like driving in a Maserati down a dead-end street. I'm like, okay. But then there's like some real cringy lyrics, like loving you is like a crossword puzzle that doesn't have an answer. Yeah. I don't know if she was like watching The Office and saw Stanley in a meeting and then just decided to put that in there. There's this like really 2012 just production element with this kind of like burpy sound in the background, which just is dated in a bad way. There's a guitar solo. The guitar solos on this album I don't like at all. They're just stock. Find some generic guitar player, get him out of a vending machine, play a guitar solo that sounds like a guitar solo. The whole thing is just, the lyrics are beneath her, the melody is beneath her, the conceit of like different colors being different emotions, like that's fine, but you're Taylor goddamn Swift. You are an amazing lyricist who's capable of things that blow my mind. Saying like love is red and sad is gray. Taylor Swift, you are not I don't, but listen, if you're mad at me for saying this, totally cool. Am I wrong? Am I really wrong that these lyrics are beneath her? That's a compliment to her. That's not an insult. That's saying she can do better than Red. Do you know how I know she can do better than Red? Because the next song, Treacherous, kind of like a nice mixture of, I think it's maybe a mandolin and some sequenced drums. And this has her great lyrics. I can't tell if it's my choice to get swept away. Perfect. A perfect Taylor Swift lyric. All about the nature of this bad love affair, this relationship, and she's trying to figure out if it's her fault. What is her agency in this relationship? And she keeps talking about this slope being treacherous. This slope is treacherous. This slope is treacherous. And then this hope is treacherous. The whole time that she was singing this slope is treacherous, I'm like, that's kind of a whack lyric. That's not so great. And then she comes in with this hope is treacherous. And you realize that what's really dangerous about a love affair is the hope that you feel. Do you understand why this is a great lyric? Why this is transcendently good compared to your love is red and my sadness is gray? But this hope is treacherous? Beautiful. Very bombastic bridge. And then we get to the song Trouble. I love this song. I have loved this song ever since I first sang it with my nieces. The thing about Max Martin, and I think this is Max Martin's credit, how many hooks can you fit in a song? Let's stay nautical here. Little Compton's it's on the ocean. How many hooks can you get into a fish until you pull it out of the water? Most producers are comfortable with one hook. You just throw it in there. And then you get the person out of the water and they're all set. On the song Trouble, the verse is a hook, the pre-chorus is a hook, the chorus is a hook, the post-chorus is a hook, and the bridge feeds in to the other hooks. The whole thing, it's just like all hooks, and they're all good. Like they're all good hooks. It is a perfect pop song. Just amazing. Max Martin at his best. I would put this up there with Baby One More Time as just some of his best work. I don't know about this new version, so I don't know Taylor Swift's work that well. So when I hear the new versions, the old versions, I can't tell the difference. But this sounds really different to me. It sounds a little bit like jittery, kind of faster. I don't think I like this as much. I think I prefer the old version, which is dead to me and I will never listen no matter how much I like it more. Am I wrong? Am I the only person who hears like a slight difference in Trouble? Something about the production doesn't quite come across as identical? Or is that all just in my head? All Too Well. Here we're really getting into some more of her great lyricism that's developing throughout this album. Her skill of describing small-town America and the small-town America love affair, which so mediated through sweaters and kind of images now. Here we have all these great little just dang moments, like dancing around the kitchen to the refrigerator light. Like you can make a movie out of that one line, dancing around the kitchen to the refrigerator light. Like you can imagine someone opening up the fridge and someone coming behind that person and kissing them on the neck while there's some music playing in the background, and then dancing, and then keeping the refrigerator open so that you can dance, so you can see each other, and like you can smile and you can love, and the music's going and it's unexpected and it's spontaneous and it's full of love and life. It's all right there. That's what I'm talking about, that efficiency that Taylor Swift has in her songwriting. Musically, it reminds me again of U2 quite often. I mean that in a complimentary way. More great lyrics. You kept me a secret. I kept you like an oath. And then I haven't checked this, I believe her lyric is, you were casually cruel, like a neighbor being honest. Is that really the lyric? Because if it is, how do you even know that, Taylor Swift? You're 22 years old. You don't know the cruelty of a neighbor being honest. Now, this is an interesting song because it's probably my favorite the first listen through, I mean, besides the hits that I already knew. But then I just saw on my Facebook feed or somewhere on my YouTube feed that she made a movie about this song, a short film about this, which I watched. It's beautiful. It's an amazingly well done song that recontextualizes the song for me because I understand it much more clearly about being this memory of this breakup. And it's not so much a bittersweet happy, but sort of a bittersweet sour feeling about this relationship. It's filmed very nicely. And unfortunately, I happened to read that this had to do with the actor Jake Gyllenhaal. So if you've been watching my work on Taylor Swift, you know that I'm against the biography. I don't care if she's dating Prince William or Prince William's baby, or I don't care if she's dating Ed Sheeran or Bobby the Brain Sheenan, or I don't care who she's dating. I don't care. That's not, to me, she's an artist. She's not a tabloid. She's not a person whose love life interests me. But she doesn't make it easy because her music seems to be so thematic and her fans are so insistent and so into this biographical element. So like that did kind of mess up the song for me. And a little bit the album, because now all of a sudden when she's singing about you, I'm picturing Donnie Darko. I'm picturing Mysterio. I'm picturing the guy from the Day After Tomorrow. He's actually a very good actor, right? But so it kind of messes it up. And when she says, I left the scarf at your sister's house, I'm like, oh, she left at Batman's girlfriend's house, right? Maggie Gyllenhaal. Then we get to the song 22. Okay. It's a bad song. I gotta tell you, I remember when the song came out, I believe it was on a Diet Coke commercial. It was when Taylor Swift was doing Diet Coke commercials, and I felt gutted. I felt like, oh, come on, you know? Because, you know, at heart, I'm an Xer. I'm a Generation Xer who will never sell out to the man, never go chasing for that dollar, man. Whatever, never mind, man. So seeing this idol of my niece's selling out to Diet Coke, I felt like that hurt. And this song is just garbage pop country. And the themes, I don't believe in YOLO. I don't believe in you only live once. Do you know what I tell my students? Yo-goo. You only grow old once. YOLO is an expression that is taught to young people to get them to rack up credit card debt so that they don't have freedom in their life. That's what YOLO is about. YOLO is about getting you into credit card debt, making sure that you screw up your opportunities and do drugs and mess up your brain chemistry and do a bunch of dumb stuff so you don't succeed in college, so you don't succeed in your early career, so that you can't advance. YOLO is debt. Do you understand me? That's what YOLO is. So I hate YOLO music. Dress up like hipsters, go have fun. Like, what is this, Kesha? TikTok and Don't Stop and I crashed my car. And you got this drum machine. It's like all millennial pop. It's all this like super millennial, whoa, don't know about you. She like rhymes the word two with two like 15 times. I hate it. I hate it. I don't know about you. I'm feeling 22. I hate it. I feel like 22. Hey. By the last chorus, I'm powerless. I love it. It's so good. It makes me feel young again. Reminds me of when I was 22. Makes me want to dance around and sing the song. It broke me down. The cynical Diet Coke commercial hating Xer who just hates all this pop crap. I can't help it. Taylor Swift has defeated me. Max Martin, who I assume produced this as well, defeated me. I have been defeated by a pop song again. I still hate that early Kesha stuff. I still hate YOLO. YOLO is still debt. I want to make a T-shirt that says YOLO is debt, and just that'll be my merch. I'll help out all young people who watch my show. But this is, after all, a great song. It's so catchy. It just broke me down. I do want to mention something. The fact she talks about her age. You know, Adele's coming out with her album, and all of her albums are her age number. This is sort of a relic of the patriarchy. Like all these women singers who are so conscious of their age because women are perceived, or society puts a sort of expiration date on their relevance and it prizes their youth. I mean, obviously both these artists are fighting against it, and Taylor Swift is going to be famous and relevant until she is 80, right? 100, whatever. But still, it is a weird thing that there's this emphasis, and you don't see that with male pop stars. You know, like I don't know how old Justin Timberlake is. I don't know how old Bruno Mars is. I Almost Do is the next song. And this is what helps me understand a little bit more about Taylor Swift in the context of country. Because I like country music a fair amount. I have problems with modern country music like you would imagine, okay? But there's a country music style of writing, even in bad country style music, where they write these kind of punchlines, you know, like the choruses are punchlines. I think this must be partly inspired just by Willie Nelson, just his amazing early catalog, where just every single song was this like heartbreaking, like little play on words, where you just perfect. And that's how this song is. My dreams are asking me, like, my dreams are In my dreams, you're asking me to give it another shot, and I almost do. The whole thing is like, I think about getting back together, but I almost do. Taylor Swift is allowing the word almost to lift and carry the entire song. This song is all about the word almost. Almost giving into temptation. Always, always, always getting back together, right? Like we're so close, but this almost is a bulwark against this recidivism towards this bad relationship. And she wants him to know. I want you to know. I want you to know that this almost is stopping me. Leading into never, ever, ever getting back together. I don't know what that song's even called. Is it called Never, Ever, Ever Getting Back Together? This song is so 2012 in such a great way. The weird kind of clipped guitar production, and again, so many hooks. There's so many hooks. I mean, by the time you're done with the getting back together, you're like, all right, that's enough. I've had enough. Max, Taylor, I've had enough hooks. I can't have any more things. I can only have one thing stuck in my head at once, and every time a new part of the song comes in, the last thing gets pushed out of the boat, you know? And then it's talk to your friends, talk to my friends, talk to your friends, talk to me. Yeah, it's just great. Very millennial song as well. Lots of ohs and oohs that were very popular at the time. But I like hearing it re-recorded. And this and Trouble they're just perfect pop songs, both of them. And it's another reminder of her vocal strength. And one more thing, it's not easy. So if this album was probably recorded in 2011, right? 2011, 2012. 10 years later, to have your voice be that strong, it is not easy. I mean, my voice is way weaker just from teaching than it was 10 years ago. It's astounding. Stay, Stay, Stay. This is a borderline case. It's got a ukulele. It sounds to me like one of those. It sounds to me like a commercial that you have to skip. You know, like on YouTube, like a life hack commercial, or like a commercial for like a Subaru or something with like a ukulele, like whistling. You know, that kind of thing. But it's a good song. It's a nice song. I like because it has continuity with never, ever, ever getting back together, because it's like, I thought we broke up. And it's kind of a simple, warm song. The question I have for you Swifties out there is at the end, there's this ad-lib where she says, "It's so fun." Is she recreating the ad-libs from 2012? I'm never going to listen to that, so I don't know. So you're going to have to tell me. If she is recreating the ad-libs from 2012, do you like that? Is that good? Is that bad? Is it not just so inauthentic? Because ad-libs already are a problem for me whenever I listen to music, because they often feel forced. Stay, Stay, Stay is a good song. The Last Time, it's another not good one. It's got the dude from Snow Patrol. I don't really know anything about Snow Patrol. They were big at a time where I wasn't paying any attention to music, and then I heard them and they weren't great. It's okay, but just without Taylor taking the lead on the song, with having this other dude just singing, the production is just, I guess, like epic strings behind. It's my least favorite song. I invite you, if you love this song, to make a case for why it's not a bad song. Let me know. Holy Ground, for some reason, reminds me a lot of Carly Rae Jepsen in a really good way. Nice kind of upbeat song. Another great idea of a lyric, like Where We Stood was Holy Ground. This relationship that she's working her way through, that she's thinking about, that she's trying to reconcile throughout the song. I really like this idea of Where We Stood was Holy Ground. It seems to be a drum machine there in the back. And this has this one line, which is my favorite line on the album. We were spinning like a girl in a brand new dress. How the hell did she write such a good lyric? How? How do you write such a good lyric? Have you ever seen a girl in a brand new dress? This is the first thing that they spin all around. You know how jealous I am? I mean, I do have a kilt. It doesn't quite work the same. And I suppose I could always just wear a dress. I mean, things are different than when I was growing up, you know. I mean, I could have worn it then, but there would have been social consequences. You know, but like, I've always been so jealous of the feeling of just wearing a dress and spinning around. and like the freedom and the joy. It's like this lyric from Taylor Swift just pierces through armor and flesh and bone and out the other side and through the wall and through a tank and into the center of the earth. It's just such a perfectly precise lyric expressing this joy and this love and this innocence which is throughout the entire album seems to be challenged, a very challenged innocence. It's not quite lost, but it's challenged. It's beautiful. I don't like the way she sings about cities. That's one of my complaints about her. She sings about every city as though she just arrived. Like when she sings about New York, it's like she's just getting out of Grand Central Station. She's like, wow, this is where Sex and the City was filmed. It has a little bit of that feeling, but it's fine. That's just my take on how she sings about cities. Kind of 80s synthesizers, Eurythmics here. Then we get an amazing respite. Sad, beautiful, tragic. Again, kind of the mandolin lead, I believe, here. And like there's like these notes that are being played that echo her melodic style. I don't know how to define this melodic style. I call it mid, low, high. Like where she'll sing like "They go high," you know, she'll sort of create melodies like that. And you hear that on the lead string instrument. This might be my favorite song on the album. It's just folksy and real, and it's great respite around the rest of the stuff that's happening. It feels really intimate. There's not like any lyrics necessarily that jump out that make me say dang. But just as far as her presenting herself as just like, what can this human being do with a guitar? This is what she can do. The Lucky One, kind of an old-fashioned indie pop style song, simple, kind of ooh post-chorus. Thematically, this song's interesting because it's called The Lucky One. And there's already a song called Lucky by Britney Spears. And that song is about how difficult it is to be famous, about how fame is abuse. And if you don't know if fame is abuse, please pay attention to Britney Spears' entire life. Please pay attention to what Billie Eilish has been trying to tell us for the past 5 years. Please pay attention to what Taylor Swift is telling us in this song about the feeling of, if I'm so lucky, why do I don't feel pretty, I feel used. Dang, another one of those lyrics. I'll be lucky to make it out alive. And she talks about how the person that left the industry is actually the lucky one. There's a weird similarity between this song, and maybe all Swifties already recognize this, and this is just a hack point, but I feel it's revolutionary. There's a connection between this song and Sweet Child O' Mine by Guns N' Roses. The way she sings the end of certain lines, like 60s Queen, it's the same notes as Through a Clear Blue Sky. Like I think if you have a playlist and you put Sweet Child O' Mine right next to this song, right next to Lucky, you'd have a beautiful pairing. Ooh, and then you could pair that with Lucky by Britney Spears, and then you could get Lucky by Radiohead, and then you could get Lucky by Daft Punk. Okay, I'm done with my bad playlist suggestion. Everything Has Changed is with Ed Sheeran. So you're sitting there and you're watching a 44-year-old dude who used to hate pop music and was very condescending, and you know that he says that certain songs on this album, and so you're sitting there and I'm waiting for me to say this song is bad because Ed Sheeran sucks. I got news for you. I don't know anything about Ed Sheeran. I know he was on Game of Thrones. I know that he's released a couple albums and I listened to them and I didn't like them, so I didn't review them, but I don't hate the guy. I don't know enough about him to hate him. I don't even really know the difference between him and John Mayer. I mean, I know John Mayer is a great guitarist, and Ed Sheeran was in the Harry Potter movies. But I don't hate Ed Sheeran. So I saw this song on the listing, and I thought, well, this will give me a chance to hate Ed Sheeran. But he's great. Compare this with the Snow Patrol guy. This back and forth is much nicer. Probably it's better because Taylor's leading, and I mean. You don't go ahead of Taylor. Like, you let her sing. And she's the star of the show, okay? Whatever she's doing, she's the star. So having Ed Sheeran come in, and I like these lyrics, I know something is different from before, and I get it. I'm supposed to hate this song because I'm supposed to hate Ed Sheeran, but it's a light rock pop song, and I thought it was delightful. And maybe Ed Sheeran is great after all. I don't know. Did he do I'm in Love with the Shape of You? Or did he do Your Body is a Wonderland? I hate both those songs equally. So whoever did those songs I don't like. You can tell me in the comments. Starlight is like another kind of YOLO song about the best night of your life. This is fine. This has one of those terrible, terrible studio guitar solos. There's an old-fashioned tendency to this song, and I'm going to use the P word. There's something problematic I just want to mention, because the cover of this album is like Taylor Swift in an old car with an old hat and an old jacket, and everything's kind of very oldie time. And in the song, she talks about like being back in the 40s and sneaking off to a yacht club. I just want to remind you, if you go to Johnny Rockets or if you like stuff about the 50s, just remember the Jim Crow laws. Remember this is a time before Roe v. Wade, a time before ERA, a time before women's liberation. Like any kind of nostalgia, just pre-60s nostalgia. The reason that we have nostalgia for those times is because for the people in power, things were simpler. But it's our goal to make things as difficult as possible for the people in power. But it's fine. I get it. It's a nice aesthetic. It looks cool. I mean, she's not... There's nothing about this song that is racist. It's just the idea of hearkening back to these times, remembering when times were simpler. Simpler for who is always the question. Is that going to get me hate on this video? Yeah, it's okay. I will say I do like because we have this old-fashioned theme. I don't know if this is on purpose. Sorry, I'm speaking my voice. My voice is going. Snoopy's going to help me out. There's a thing in old-fashioned like love songs where like you just meet somebody and then like you end up getting married. So in this song, it's talking about this dancing and meeting this person on the dance floor, saying we'll get married and have 10 kids and teach them how to dream. It does remind me of that old trope of like, I just met you and then, hey, let's get married. Because the reason why those songs were like that in the 50s and 60s is because once you were married, you could have sex. So that's why they were that way. Anyways, so the Starlight, not the strongest song, and then Begin Again, the final track, seems like an accordion acoustic guitar with just a gorgeous break with a pedal steel. Pedal steel is one of these weird instruments where even though it should, by all rights, be just out of fashion for some reason, it's always in fashion in Nashville, and I really appreciate that because it's such a gorgeous instrument. My brother actually gave me his pedal steel guitar, but one of the pedals was broken, so it never worked. I never got to do anything except for you just put the slide on the top and then you let it go and it goes. That's all I was ever able to get it to do. The interesting song lyrically because it's about like feeling smart and funny with a new lover. Talking about how she had this person who met her never met anyone who had as many James Taylor records as her. It seems as though maybe she's doing the thing of trying to be a cool girl, trying to be cool enough to have interests that please men. I don't really know, but it's a nice ending to the album. And all the way through, I like this much better than Fearless. I like it a quarter as much as Evermore and Folkmore and Lover. I think that what she's doing right now is awesome. Is just spectacular. I really do like Red, but this is more of a compliment on what she's doing now and my hope in her as an artist, as a living artist who can pull off re-recording an entire album of her old music while still dropping 2 of the best albums of the year within a year. Damn it, she's impressive. All right, so I'm now going to talk about the one bonus song, Ronan's song. So this is a song that she wrote for a fan of hers whose kid died of neuroblastoma. And I want to talk about this because I went to grad school and a friend of mine, one of my colleagues, her son got neuroblastoma. And it is just one of the most painful things anybody can go through. It is devastating. I tried to help however I could. I used to have really long hair, so I made a video donating to Locks of Love. And I'm a Chewbacca collector. I have one of the world's biggest Chewbacca collections. So I got Peter Mayhew, the actor who played Chewbacca, to cut my hair. Like, he cut my hair. Chewbacca cut my hair. And then I donated that to Locks of Love, and I made a video, and I made a song for it, and I tried to raise money for Danny's Fund with an S. That's the fund for her son who passed in 2013. But I just wanted to highlight how great it is that she did this and how meaningful it is. Because when I think about what my friend went through and the fact that I didn't even know this song existed when I was doing all those things for my friend, you know, it's terrible. It's terrible I somehow didn't know. But the only luxury we have is health. And if you have kids, the idea of them being sick is so painful. So I am just very happy that my nieces, who I sang with 10 years ago, are happy and healthy. I'm so happy my kids are happy and healthy. And we just need to really take time to appreciate and have compassion, meaning suffer with. We need to have compassion for those who don't have that. And that's what Taylor Swift was able to do. I'm not going to review the song. I listened to it for 15 seconds. Like your bare feet on the floor and plastic cars and dinosaurs and I love you to the moon and I just forget it. You know, I was like, nope, I'm never gonna listen to that song. It's good. It's really meaningful and I can't listen to it. But I am going to donate whatever money I get from this stupid video to Danny's fund. So thank you for watching. Because I don't, you know, what can we do? You know, besides be thankful and thoughtful. These are my Patreons. It feels stupid now, but I do show them every week. So they're not stupid. They're awesome. They give me money, and I use that money to buy music. But there you go. Whew, that got serious. Okay, well, thank you very much for going on this journey with me through Taylor Swift's catalog. I hope she keeps releasing these things so I get to appreciate her music more and appreciate life in general. Because you only grow old once. All right, there's the camera.